Hi and welcome to the latest episode of Vantage Point, where today we're fortunate to have Managing Director and CEO of Lycopodium, Peter DeLeo. Listeners unfamiliar with Lycopodium, it's an ASX-listed engineering and project delivery firm based in Perth. Its core services span resources, industrial processes, rail infrastructure and supporting services such as feasibility studies, project management, commissioning, process optimisation and asset management. Over the years, it's built a really strong reputation for delivering complex, multidisciplinary engineering projects globally with a hands-on technical mindset and a focus on operational execution. With that, we hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks very much. Welcome. Thanks very much for joining us today. Just before we get started, obviously, Lycopodium it's been around for a long, long time. I think it's 1982. You've been with the business. 1992, sorry. You've been with the business since 94, which just, we were saying earlier, just a couple of years ago. Just give us a little bit of a background around how Lycopodium came to be about and just your journey with the business as well.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Simon. And nice to chat with you today. The business was basically founded, it's actually a long story, but I'll give you the short story. The business was founded by Mick Carati and four other founders in 1992, and it was really to respond to a market, the gold market in particular in Western Australia, and some of the work that was happening, really starting just to occur in Africa, in West Africa in particular, around gold. And it emanated out of the original Lycopodium, which was in the 80s. Mick and two other partners. Anyway, long story short, he got the band back together. Most of the people that were in Lycopodium 2, the founding of the business in 92, had worked in Lyco 1, call it.
Yep.
Small business headquartered in Perth, initially in Subiaco. When I joined the business, it was a small number of people. We were in a little office in Subi, as I say, and then we sort of steadily grown since then. And always engineering, project delivery, very technically led business. Really honouring the technical side of things. Process led, we call process engineering led.
Yep.
And for mineral processing projects, that's critically important. I mean, we can build something on time, on budget, but if you build the wrong thing, it doesn't work. You haven't helped anybody.
No good to anyone.
That's true.
And so in terms of your core expertise, what sort of sets you apart in terms of the industry?
I think it is honouring the technical, being respectful of the technical. And when I say the technical, making sure that you've got the right people involved, coming up with the right technical solutions, and then delivering those projects ultimately with the right, capabilities and teams, structured in the right way. And I think that's what sets us apart, as well as, managing all the risks that go with that to deliver a good outcome.
Just a couple of risks.
Yeah, there's a few.
And in terms of, obviously you talked to mining resources, but you've sort of expanded further into that in terms of rail infrastructure projects. Can you just talk to us, to the rationale about why and why that sort of strengthens the business as well?
We've always been sensitive to the cyclical nature of what is ostensibly an engineering and projects business, and ostensibly an engineering and projects business in the mineral sector. So always mindful that the mineral sector, by its nature, has its ups and downs depending on commodity pricing and a bunch of other things driven by the global economy. So when opportunities arose to do a little bit of sectoral diversification, we took the opportunity to get into the industrial processes with the business here in Melbourne. So specialty chemicals, pharmaceuticals, food and beverage and the like. And we established the business, but again, via an opportunity that presented itself to us really, in Newcastle, the Lycopodium infrastructure rail business. And again, it was really to try and take some of that risk out of, or to diversify so that if minerals are up, that's great. But if they're down, industrial processes and rail gives us another, arrow in the quiver, so to speak.
Yep.
What we found, however, over time was that certainly here in Australia, if resources is down, typically everything's down.
Yeah.
And so it's not really a
complete buffer.
No.
Yeah.
So we went on and we've found over time that the demand for our services in the resources space has outstripped our demand for resources our services in the industrial processes and infrastructure space. And so our approach to, call it diversification, morphed over time. And today we do plus 90% of our business in resources, mineral resources.
Yeah.
And so, how could we take the that diversification theme into resources? The way we did that was to diversify over time in commodity,
Yep.
in geography, and in clientele. So we work for, globally diversified miners right the way down through the mid tiers to the junior explorers and first asset developers. We work in commodities, everything from, gold, iron ore, lithium, uranium, mineral sands, critical minerals, etc. And we do it across the globe. From that start in Perth, we now have capabilities across the globe to deliver projects.
And just when you talk to globally diverse customers, can you sort of talk through some of the sort of the case studies there of success? And again, I'm assuming once you've worked with a global customer and you deliver to the tech and on time and on budget and obviously to spec, they use you again, or is it sort of competitive process on an ongoing basis?
Look, about 60 to 70% of our business is repeat business.
Yep.
A lot of that is, if not sole sourced, certainly we're in a preferred position, and we just need to demonstrate we continue to deliver value, and then we secure the work. So, a lot of our work is that repeat business with clients we've done work with previously. But examples of a globally diversified miner, for example, who really sought us out to assist them was Newmont. When we did the Ahafo project in Newmont in 2000 in Ghana for Newmont in 2004, they actually came to Perth to work with us because we had the experience in Ghana. They'd never been to Africa. And so they took a leap of faith, frankly, to work with what was at that time a relatively small or medium-sized engineering firm. And if you think about Lycopodium back in 2003, 2004, we were quite different to what we are today. But they recognised that the importance of that experience, and having delivered, 5 or 6 gold projects prior to that in West Africa, plus some in East Africa, they saw the value of that experience, and they recognised that, the sort of engineering and project delivery we were able to provide was something that they needed in that setting. And then we went on to do the Chim project for them. We're just wrapping up the Ahafo North project for them today, in this next couple of months. So we've had a long relationship with Newmont. Similarly, we've worked with Rio Tinto, originally on their iron ore work, now with them on the Winu copper project. The likes of First Quantum, where we originally worked with them, their copper projects in Zambia, went on to design their Cobre Panama project in Panama. They're a very, very large mega project, and now working with them on the feasibility study work for their next copper project, the Taka Taka project in Argentina. So there's been many clients where we've had that sort of ongoing relationship and that really good walk the journey with them. Some of them, as I said, from when they were first asset developers, they're doing their studies for their first project. Others where we've come in and assisted them with something, and then walked the journey subsequent to that with them. So it's been great.
And a couple of clients of NWR who we spoke about earlier in terms of Perseus Mining and West African Resources, obviously operating in West Africa. It's a challenging jurisdiction. Obviously, the grades and the opportunity there are immense. Practically, what are you sort of involved in? Obviously, there's the spec work and the technical work behind the scenes. But when we talk about project delivery and talk about in country, can you just talk to us? Practically, it doesn't have to be about in reference to those couple of companies, but what you actually do.
They're good examples of what we do, and there's quite a few others, but quite a few other companies we work obviously in the same setting. But what we do is provide typically what's called the engineering project and construction management, engineering procurement project and construction management services. So depending on what we call our controlled scope is, and sometimes that might just be the process plant, other times that'll be the process plant plus a bunch of infrastructure for these new mine developments. And what we'll have typically done, we would have done a lot of the design, if not all of the design, engineering, producing the engineering specifications, drawings, models, etc. We'll manage the procurement of everything, so the fabricated structural steel, the plate work, the specialist process equipment. We'll manage the letting of contracts for the fabrication of steel, the fabrication of manufactured goods. We'll let the contracts for the concrete installation, the foundation work, the earthworks, then the installation of all the equipment. And we'll manage that whole piece. And then we'll be there to actually technically commission and get the plant going and commission all the systems, whether it be a process plant or in the infrastructure. And then literally we'll help ramp the operation up, and we'll hand over to the client. And that's, so you walk the journey, and often, more often than not, we've done the feasibility study work from the outset. Sometimes as early as scoping study, pre-fees, definitive fees, into funding and execution. Sometimes we even will help with optimization, so process optimization, and be around to support our clients, into operations for as long as they want us to be around. So it's really very interesting. But we manage that whole exercise. So an owner will typically, their remit's the complete thing, obviously, but they'll be typically more focused on government relations, community relations, maybe the mining and some of the exploration, geological side of things. But we'll manage that entire call it technical piece around the the built infrastructure to allow the operation to do what the operation needs to do.
I would have thought. I know friends who've worked in consulting where you sort of do a piece of work and you spend 12, 18 months on it, you hand it back to the client, there's no sort of follow through, or you don't even know really what they do with it. I would have thought it'd be somewhat the ultimate reward to do a scoping study, to do a PFS, DFS, and ultimately deliver to first pour and actually be a part of that.
Absolutely, Simon. And I think that's one of the strengths of Lycopodium. One of the things that enables us to grow the teams that we grow, our homegrown people, those that come, join us, stay with us and grow with us, if you like, is because we are able to provide them that opportunity, provide our teams those opportunities to perhaps work on a feasibility study and then ultimately see the thing designed, constructed, operational, becoming a flagship operation for an emerging client who then becomes a global client. Some of our clients have started with one and now have got half a dozen operations around the world, and it's really interesting, and particularly the sorts of projects that we do, they're not 10-year projects. They're 2.5, 3-year projects. So it gives our teams fantastic opportunities in a 5-year time frame, for example, to have worked on a number of studies, maybe been involved in the build of 2 projects. And that's really exciting for people. And it's also a fantastic environment for which to bring in graduates, develop graduates, and build them into what we call our lycopods, people that, live and breathe our culture of the way that we approach things, for whom our values and for whom our sort of operational approach resonates. And we've got a lot of people. We've got a lot of people now today. You mentioned Perseus. I mean, the chap that's the project manager on the Nyanzaga project for Perseus for us was a graduate with us.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's worked now, must be 4 or 5 different projects. Africa, in Australia, and now he's managing the Nyanzaga project and doing a fabulous job.
It's pretty amazing experience, right?
Yeah, it is, and it's great.
And in terms of we spoke earlier about staff and headcount. Sort of over the last 4 or 5 years, it's gone up from sort of 500 to 1,300, 1,400, etc. You spoke to trying to attract talent. How hard is it, or how do you sort of look at the culture of Lycopodium in attracting talent? When it's so key, obviously, with these beachhead names to deliver to task.
I think we've worked pretty hard to kind of become an employer of choice. I think we've got a really good reputation, particularly in the more, those more established markets, labour markets, which we've been around for many years. And we're seen as being a good employer, an honest employer, someone who's going to look after your well-being, consider your career, consider your professional and personal development, and give you those great opportunities. And I think that's great at the graduate level, and at the junior level we have strong graduate development programs, emerging leader programs, etc. But we also try to bring in, and obviously other than the homegrown talent, bring in, the best talent that we can identify for to populate our teams and to grow our teams around, some of the, fantastic people that have started their careers elsewhere but want to continue their career with us. And so I think we don't find it too difficult to attract good people. We don't find it all that difficult to retain good people. Of course, we do become a bit of a target, not only for competitors, but even for some clients. A lot of our people end up working on the owner's side, and that's all okay. We're happy to.
I suppose
we're happy to see that.
That's the sort of ultimate compliment, right? If they're going onto the owner or the asset side.
Yeah, I think so, and of course, it continues to build our network and the network of friends. You talk about delivering projects in West Africa, East Africa, or other places. So these are all remote. They're all challenging. They'll have their own challenges. What you need is friends, people you can rely upon, people that you're speaking the same language and hold the same values. And for us, that's really been another part of our success, I believe, is we work with clients who we share values with, and we have to do that because often we're living, particularly when we're on the site, we're in their environment. Working within the communities that they are having to live with and manage beyond when we leave. So we all need to be singing from the same hymn sheet, so to speak, when it comes to the way we behave and how we do things.
And one of the sort of core, I suppose, assets, or without using the word risk, but your disciplined approach to risk. Obviously working in such jurisdictions, and just the industry in itself in terms of cost overruns and the rest of it. Can you just discuss how you look at that and why it's not a risk to have that risk?
Yeah, look, it's not a risk. I mean, the important thing is to understand the risks and to be able to foresee the risks and then to be able to plan for the risks. And it's really in Lycopodium's DNA, and it's not by accident. When I spoke about Mick, getting the team together in the early days, the team comprised of Mick, who was that generalist engineer. Mick's an electrical engineer by training, but a very general engineer. He puts his logical mind to everything engineering, and has always done that. We had a head of commercial accounting, CPA, who really took care of the numbers, the financials, the balance sheet, how the company was travelling, and making sure we were always in a good space. Projects specialist, a mechanical specialist, mechanical engineering specialist, and a process specialist, process engineering specialist. So it was built around understanding the detail, if you like, and being able then to plan and to put plans together, execution plans or strategic plans that made sense for the challenge of the time. And when it comes to everything that Lycopodium does today, that's probably one of the strongest suits of the company, is its approach to risk management, whether it be technical risk, contractual risk, commercial risk, operational risk, security risk, all those things that form such an important part in themselves. On any given day might only be a small part of what makes the company tick, but every single one of those things needs to work in concert and be addressed in concert to allow you to have a strong, sustainable business, with a good approach to the long term. And that's what Lycopodium has, and it's just something we've built up over years. Good governance structures, mature systems, and lots of teams of long-term Lycopodium people working for them.
And maybe just to, obviously don't mention any sort of client names or anything, but in terms of your unexpected hurdles or hiccups that you've actually been able to manage, in terms of risks that have popped up that somehow you've been able to get around and get a positive outcome.
Look, most recently, in terms of the global phenomenon was obviously COVID. We managed to deliver without a missing a beat. For example, the Nyanzaga, the Yaouré project for Perseus. That was done during COVID. The Seguela project for Fortuna Gold and Silver, that was done during the COVID period when borders were closed, and we were able to do that. I remember, we had we'd heard of sort of this emerging situation in February of 2020, and how it was influencing things and how it was unknown. There was lots of uncertainties around it, and how we kind of had the, I guess, sense, foresight, I don't know, but to sit down and think, okay, how could this possibly affect us as a business? And I remember it was late February, we were having these conversations, and in March we were planning, and we had task force and all the rest of it. And we were doing that whilst keeping the projects running and the businesses running. How we had to pivot. None of us were working at home to the extent that we ended up having to work from home and have the tech to support that. And we did all that very quickly. But I'd say, that's an example where, we were able to, and it was by the dedication of our people and our teams, and doing things that had them uncomfortable at times, because I'm going to be away from home. I've got, it's not going to be easy for me to get home if I have to get home. We were able to deliver those projects. And it was just, the team approach, being able to rely on people, and being able to move quickly and nimbly to deal with what was a very emerging, very fluid, very dynamic situation, to the point that we commenced a little project. Again, Mick championed it, the Like event, where we used an old MIT design to develop a very simple ventilator that we hoped to be able to get into the African hospitals in the need of ventilation during COVID. We're finalising that now, and we're looking to try and get that piece of equipment into.
And that's a sort of community.
That was a community effort. Yeah. That was something, and that was also something though about being able to make a difference and apply our skills to something. And it was done really quickly. It was done literally. Nothing's quick in the medical sense, but we moved very quickly to achieve an outcome there, and it was good. Ultimately, thankfully, it wasn't required, but it was good.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing to think that that's 5 years ago now.
No, it is. But that's an example. There's lots and lots and lots. I mean, we obviously work in lots of different places where, I could talk about Gator when, Ashanti became Anglo Gold Ashanti because the gold price went through the floor, and, the world changed for Ashanti gold at that time, and they were taken over midstream whilst we were delivering that project. I mean, I can talk about a lot of similar projects and similar things that we've seen over time.
You'd have a Bible of them, that's for sure. And
there's a few, yeah.
And just in terms of the Saxum acquisition in South America, can you just talk us through the rationale there and why that approach?
Yeah, about 30% of the world's mineral resources, and certainly the future, when you talk about copper, lithium, gold, silver, rare earths, iron ore, lots of things, hosted in Latin America. And for us, that was an area where we'd never been particularly active. A lot of the jurisdictions which we've gone to, we've been taken by clients. They've asked us to come along. Latin America wasn't one that saw us doing a lot in. We'd done a small gold project in Colombia. We've done the Cobra Panama design, but again, that was mainly the engineering design and technical procurement. So it wasn't a hell of a lot done on the ground in Panama. And we saw, we believed, and we do believe that the market in Latin America will be well receiving of Lycopodium's type of services and what we can help them with regard to their projects. But it's not possible to try and grow into Latin America organically. A lot of our growth over time has been organic. Some has been via acquisition. But we recognise that language, network, understanding the local settings, needed to find a suitably sized organisation that we could approach and bring in as part of Lycopodium. It took us a long time. We looked at quite a few organisations, and finally we came across Saxum pretty much by accident, actually. And from the first meeting with Guillermo Etze, the founder of Saxum, it was we realised this was something we should pursue and should look further into. And Saxum, whilst they do 50% of their business in the cement industry, so we weren't looking for sectoral diversification, but that's kind of the icing on the cake. 50% of their business was in the minerals industry and mainly in Latin America. With Argentina starting to open up, and with that sort of very pro-mining, pro-business government in Argentina, with the importance being seen of the eastern side of the Andes mineral resources and the wealth that's there and that can be tapped into. With the growth of the lithium brines, I mean, yes, it's not a great time for lithium right now,
eventually.
But I believe so. And, with their footprint in Tucumán, Buenos Aires, Dallas and Belo Horizonte, we thought, what a fantastic opportunity for us to get into Latin America. So we've structured the deal. It's an acquisition. We bought 60% of the business, which was finalised just the 1st of July this year.
Yep.
And we'll take the subsequent 25 and 15% after 5 and 7 years respectively.
So ties
yeah, so Guillermo, the founder, is with us for 7 years. We've already integrated ERP and a lot of the systems and all that stuff. So all of that backroom stuff we're already integrated and done. We need to do a little bit more work on the technical platforms, but work sharing's commenced and really opens for us doors. We believe it's going to open doors that we just didn't even know existed previously, and tangibly will enable us to execute work on the ground in Latin America. And we're really excited about that. For us, it's in the last 12 months, we've now become literally a global company in the sense that there's a Lycopodium office, a 9 to 5, somewhere, 24 hours a day for our business, whether it be in Perth, Brisbane, keep working your way around. Now we have the office in Vancouver, Lima, Toronto, Buenos Aires, Tucumán, Cape Town, etc. So you make your way back around.
So is that Lycos 3.0 or we're not just there yet?
No,
You're talking
we're
about Lycos 1.0, 2.0?
Yeah, look, I think this is just the evolution of 2, to be honest.
2.2.
Yeah, 2.2. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's exciting times for us.
Yeah.
And I really believe that every aspect of the business is running really well. I mean, every business has its challenges in any given day. In our business, we're running 40 projects across the world at the moment, have lots of offices, 1,400 people providing services to clients, right? So you've got your challenges.
Yep.
But every part of the business is running so well, and we've got a fantastic team across the entire business. There's lots of cause to be excited about our business at the moment.
And in terms of sort of expanding into new innovations and whatnot, can you talk to us about, I think there's sort of battery recycling and different things. Yeah, what are you sort of doing there?
Yeah. Well, as engineers, you need to be moving forward. You need to be, again, honouring the technical and always seeking to provide the best mousetrap, the best solution, best technical solutions for your clients, and also just to give your staff that sort of professional growth, that technical and professional growth. We believe very strongly that it's important for us to be doing work in sort of the R&D space or that emerging technology space. And whether it's the novel lithium processing route that we're doing with the FBI CRC, or whether it's the battery recycling project work we did with CSIRO, there's lots of examples within the business, and we do foster, and it's been for a long time a strategic pillar of ours, foster a culture of innovation. Now, it's interesting in an engineering group such as ours, engineering project delivery team, we have to deliver efficiently, right? So when we're in project mode, you've got to flick the switch and you've got to be delivering efficiently, on time, on budget, to the plan.
Yeah.
Don't change anything, keep it going, and de-risking is about doing things that you've done before just better, as opposed to doing something, with a clean sheet of paper. But at the same time, as an engineer, we need to foster a culture of innovation to make sure that we're always thinking, always coming up with the best solution, always evolving. And if you look at Lycopodium's principles, if you ever get a chance to have a look at our website, for example, it pretty much explains those things that underpin our approach and underpin our culture. Looking to do things innovatively, looking to do new things in a better way, but doing it in an evolved design approach, and we call it the Mercedes principle. If you look at a Lycopodium plant of 2025, and you look at one that was designed in 2000, you'll see similarities. A little bit like a Mercedes E-Class, and you'll see how they just improved and got better over time.
I like that.
And it's true. It's a very, very sound approach to engineering. Every plant we do, every project we do is bespoke, of course, by its very nature. Different ore body, different location. But if you can take a lot of the risk out of it by using proven technologies, and even when you innovate, use proven technologies, it may be in an innovative setting, certainly de-risks things. So it's again, when I talk about the business, I talk about the business as one that has so many moving parts and pieces, and everything has to be working well for it to work well as a whole. And I'm very happy that I can say that that's us today.
And as a probably final sort of couple of questions, in terms of a leader, obviously you come from an engineering background, so you're you're not sort of a paper pusher, so to speak, in terms of you've talked the talk and actually worked the work. How do you sort of see how you've evolved as a leader? You've been with the business, obviously, for a long, long time, led the business for a long time now as well. Have you seen that you've changed, over the last, decade, for instance, in terms of how you've led the business?
I think engaging with people and being as transparent and always being honest to yourself and to others is the only answer. If you want to really resonate with people, I think you need to be completely authentic.
Real.
Be yourself and just whatever that is, and take it or leave it, but be yourself. My wife mightn't necessarily agree, but I consider myself a bit of a people person, and being able to engage with people. And I think that's really important for my role, and it's kind of the reason I got into projects and project management pretty much straight off the bat when I graduated uni. I felt that was where I could enjoy myself the most, and therefore probably be the best as I could be. I think that having that sort of authenticity, but also making sure that you try to communicate it through the team. I mean, we're a very flat structure.
That's good.
But we do have 1,400 people around the world, and key parts of our team are obviously our CFO and our MDs of the various businesses and our head of people, but also our manager of marketing and communications, making sure that we don't do a lot of BD and whatever, but we do want to make sure that our brand, the way that we present internally and externally is all consistent, and that our staff see that we're actually walking the talk, as you say.
Yeah.
And walking the talk's really quite easy for me because I've actually done it.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've spent 18 months delivering projects on sites and whatnot. I've been involved in project teams, and I kind of understand the dynamics and the things that are more important. I mean, and even to this day, I get involved in project reviews, the detailed project reviews, not to tell anyone how to do things or sit there. I try to actually stay quiet. But if something that I've seen in the past kind of comes up, and I can be of value, I'll mention it. I'll say, listen, you might want to think about this, you might want to, so I think that's
still
pretty
find
valuable.
it stimulating and challenging.
I find that really exciting, actually. For me, I get the most pleasure out of engaging with the young people and engaging with the project teams and just hearing how they're going and trying to give them a little bit of advice and then seeing the success that comes not from me but from the teams that are delivering these
Ultimate
projects.
delivery.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to tease Lyco's 3.0 out of you. What does the sort of next 5 to 10 years look like for Lycopodium in terms of obviously Saxum's evolving? You've got 40 sort of core projects going at the moment. Innovating. What is it still 90% minerals? What
Look, I think so. I think I think we're going to continue to see some really good work done in our rail infrastructure and industrial processes businesses. They're great teams in their own right, but this is the big but. Subject to what the market does, but assuming that you've got a strong mineral resources market moving forward, and I personally think, subject. I mean, we're not market speculators,
who knows,
but what we do believe is if the market continues to grow the way that it's currently growing, the demand is there. At the moment, arguably, lithium's in a very, very flat, dormant spot. If that turns around, we're going to just see a lot of demand for what we do, for what Lycopodium does. And I think we are really, really well placed, and I'm really excited by the fact that we are, we're organised regionally into the Minerals Americas of APAC and Africa. We've got lots of legs, we've got lots of opportunity to see Cape Town grow, Toronto continue to grow, Brisbane, Perth, the Manila office. The Americas for us is really the new frontier. And I think that when 5 years' time, if we're doing a third of our sort of business in the Americas, a third in APAC, and a third in Africa, and we've continued to hold what we do in Africa and APAC, I mean, you're going to see a business which is 50% bigger than it is today. And it's not just for growth's sake. It's just the fact that if you're doing good work, you're going to continue to attract good projects, good clients and good opportunities, and you want to provide that for your staff.
Yeah.
I said, if someone comes and joins us as a graduate, I'm a great example. I joined as a project engineer and I'm the managing director. I wouldn't have done that. I know myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I had my own ambitions, right? I was able to achieve my ambitions within Lycopodium because it grew from a 12-person business to a 1,400-person business, and I happened to be around at the time. You know, and I see that with a lot of our staff, and now we're starting to see a lot of our staff getting the opportunity to move globally. There's people leaving Perth to go to Toronto, others coming out of Argentina to head up to Toronto at the moment, some gone to Cape Town, vice versa. That's going to be really, really exciting for our staff moving forward. And we're an organisation, we're not like, you know, the big, you know, global engineers of 30, 40,000 people. We're still a great size of business where, you know, you know where everybody is, and you know what everyone's
nimble
doing.
And
it's nimble, and you can be really useful. We're not the answer to, you know, building a, you know, $7 billion you know, industrial complex somewhere. That's not us.
Yeah.
But for the sorts of clients with whom we work, you know, the Perseus's, the West Africans, the First Quantums, even the Rio Tintos and the Newmonts of this world, as well as the, you know, the emerging groups. Yeah, I think we're a fantastic answer to their needs, and we think that's going to be. We're going to find that in Latin America as well.
Sustainable. Congratulations on truly building. I know that you didn't found it, but in terms of leading it over a number of years, you know, it's now truly a global, you know, engineering and services business, and genuinely sounds like you've got the passion and and energy to keep going.
Yeah, thanks.
Strong and long. So, well done.
Good on you, mate.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Peter.
Cheers.